DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Good evening and welcome to Tuesday Night with Brian and Jay.
Hi.
Scary. Ooh.
Oh, it's a typical Tuesday night. I've got to
It
get
is before Halloween. It's scary
It is.
Tuesday night.
Okay, there we go. I had to get our
Tuesday.
So tonight we've got a couple of topics we're going to be hitting for those of you out there watching, and we want to thank you for being with us. Folks who are just joining and jumping in. We're going to talk a little bit about the whole concept of, is it time to kind of maybe re-rip some of your songs from the past that you had on CD? Brian's been doing some videos talking about MP3 and file sizes and all this, and we're going to dig into that tonight. And then we're going to wrap up tonight's show talking a little bit about some of the scary music Jay plays to alienate his neighbors. It's great.
Yes.
It's going to be great.
Not just Monster Mash and Thriller. We gotcha.
Oh, what? There is more than that?
Yes, we gotcha.
Oh, I was going to say that was
Not the famous encore twice of John Young's what was the Smiling Purple People Eater? What the hell song was that?
Purple
Brian?
People Eater.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you.
So before we get too far, I have to say the earworm I've had all week has been that cruising song that you played last week.
Yeah?
It's like every morning I'm waking up and it's like, I need to listen to Dancing Queen. I gotta get it out of my
I
head.
tell you how to get rid of earworms. There's a PSA for all of you. The first time I remember it happening to me, and it was painful, like literally I was losing sleep over it, I was probably about 12 years old, maybe 13. It was Jethro Tull, Thick as a Brick. It wouldn't stop. So what I had to do is just go ahead and give into it. And I listened to it over and over and over and over again until it became lexicon, and it went away.
It went away. Okay.
That's how you get rid of earworms. You gotta just give in and listen.
You just gotta go all in.
Or
Works for me.
Or
hum White Christmas. Never fails. Wipes it right out.
that would be awesome.
And then you move on to the next
You
one.
move on to Christmas music. I can't get it out of my head. Santa's.
And it's festive.
Yeah, festive. We'll go with that.
I'm glad you enjoyed it though.
Yeah, and then,
It's a good version. I used to play it on. You guys know I used to work on boats, and when that track came out, I played it we did 7 nights a week of cruises, and I would play that at the beginning of the night as we left the dock.
That makes sense.
And it was like a great new version to play, and I would get all the time people come up to me like, "Who is that? That's a great version." I'm like, "Believe it or not, it's Gwyneth Paltrow, who in probably 20 years we'll hate because she'll just be such a you know what." But for now, she seems cool enough that we can like her and Huey, and life is good.
So and then the next day, so I'm working out in a shed, and both the Kenny Loggins song and the Huey Lewis song both were played on the
Nice.
It's like,
Wow.
it's like, is this Brian Red Station? Is there,
My daughter hates it because usually I'm pretty good at kind of predicting what's going to happen. Like if she has an idea, I'm like, you know what, honey, maybe you shouldn't do that. And I'll give her a reason why and what the outcome will be. And it happens. And it's like a daddy's always right kind of thing. But she's pushed back and she says, no, you're not always right. You're just a prophet. You prophesize stuff and you're a really good one. And I wish you'd stop prophesizing my life because it's starting to really get annoying.
You did that in Vegas.
Maybe that's what I'm doing with music.
maybe
No, you do that with slot machines. I watched you do it. That stupid Buffalo thing. You kept, no, not this. No, wait, right there. And all of a sudden, she's like, no, I'm going to play over here. And you're like, okay. Like, here's Brian getting hand pays. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? I don't know.
Let's jump into the topic tonight. So, Brian, you've been talking a little bit about about files with the MP3s. Kind of give us what kind of kicked that into your thought process here in this past week.
Well, I was talking about just getting the most out of your speaker system, because I was seeing some posts on social media where people were asking about adding processing gear to their systems. And I was curious what kind of system they're running, and it's pretty modern stuff, like, something decent like a Pioneer or a Denon controller, a mixer with a nice sound card, and like a VDJ or Serato kind of thing, along with some kind of power speakers. And good stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you don't really need all this processing gear if you've got everything set up right. So I walked through the whole, Unity setting on the mixer, 0 dB, and, trying to do the 0 dB thing on the speakers, just setting up the DSPs. Because if you're running low bitrate MP3s or something else, or you're trying to DJ off of YouTube or something, that's going to affect how everything sounds.
Right.
And somebody popped in on one of the comment sections. It was actually on Facebook, and space was also an issue on those because they didn't have big hard drives.
Nope.
So they wanted to save space and give you something for personal listening that was acceptable. So they felt like 128 was fine. But now we're running through large sound systems and broadcasting this stuff at events. So bitrate does matter. It does. The higher the bitrate, the better the sound. And MP3 at a 320K rip is not the best thing you can get either. You can do wave, you can do FLAC, you can do CD, you can do all kinds of stuff. But I feel like personally, and this is just an opinion, that my system sounds really good with 320K MP3 files. Now, could I get better files? Absolutely. Would my system sound better with better files? Probably, but it's very acceptable, I feel, just running 320K MP3. So that's where that whole thing came from.
Sure.
And
go ahead.
No, it's okay. I'll take a break.
I wanted to add one thing, because I had to do a sound test about 4 years ago for the purchase. I think you've seen them at the NAMM show. We used to have this rack of speakers, and it was called the GS Wave.
The flat ones?
No. This was Gary Stewart, the sound designer and club impresario with sound.
Okay.
Did a design. It's about 9 or 10 feet tall.
Okay.
It starts at the bottom with, I think there's 4 18-inch bass. Then it goes up to the next level. And then the top level is a horn that's got all these directional kind of louvers on it. And it's $100,000. It's one stack. And it was part of our pro audio thing. Well, there's a club in LA that has 4 of them. So I got the phone call. Can you come up and demo the system? And I said, sure. And they said, do you have high res audio? And I said, I'll find some. Well, you can't. Like, I could not find a song that was high res. I'm to understand that when people do their own production, they can do that. But I did find WAV files. Right. But I also had MP3s. I agree with everything you just said, 100%. And I would get at the shows, be like, hey, we're going to this club. Make sure you're using WAV files. And I never quite understood. So before the gentleman looking at the system came in, and I'm talking everything was at 0 dB, but as loud as I could get it. I played the same song as an MP3 and a WAV file, and through a huge club system, unbelievable difference. You can literally, the 320K sounds terrible. Now through my system for weddings, 320K sounds great. I don't pick up the difference between that and a WAV. But if you're a DJ who's going to eventually or someday soon end up playing through a bigger system, be cognizant that some tracks will have to be on WAV, because MP3s just don't, they lose in compression what waves and FLACs pick up in. I just wanted to point as a real life example, because I'm like, I don't think I'll hear a difference. And it was like night and day. It was amazing how different it was.
You can.
Through our stuff, not so much maybe, but through a big system. Woo.
Right. Yeah, the bigger the system, the more it's going to make a difference. But I was going to sidetrack a little bit and ask any of you, and I already know the answer, and it's not like bad that your answer is going to be what it is. Ever heard of Herbie Jr.?
No.
Also
No.
known as Herb Pump Powers. So
No.
way back, and well, I shouldn't even say that. Since always, okay, when you record a song, it goes on some kind of demo file or demo tape. Back in the old days, it would go on reel to reel, right? You're in the studio and you record it. And it goes to a mastering lab after that. And there's somebody in there that back in the old days, they would cut the master. They would EQ it out and cut the master of your record to go to press, right? Well, back in, I guess it was probably the very, very early 80s, there was a gentleman named Herbert Powers, and he brought his son, Herb Jr., in to work at this record lab. It was above Studio 54 in New York City. And Herbie Jr., he figured out a way to get the most bass out of a record. And something else that he did that he would get in trouble for. You know what a run out groove is on a record? The black shiny part in the middle? Usually you see some numbers or something etched in there. You do that with like a little nail or something, right? Well, what Herbie used to do is write secret messages to people in the run out groove. So he kind of became famous for this. And I'll show you an example. Do you guys know this track right here? You're familiar with Cutting Records label at all? It's like, freestyle electro and all that.
Oh, it's got the saw blade. Yes.
But yeah. This is Hashim with Al Nafish the Soul. You know that song? It's time. Okay, Herb cut this. He mastered this record. He also did Corina's Temptation. You probably know this one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He did like a bunch of Salt and Pepper stuff, Information Society. Shannon Let the Music Play. He cut that, which is really the one I probably should have grabbed. But he was very famous, and all of these artists know him, and people would want him to cut their records because he really knew how to make them sound great, for club back in the days. And what I was doing on the phone while Jay was talking, I didn't mean to be rude. I was trying to prep a little bit because I wanted to do a quick screen share here, if I can, to show you what his little messages were, because I took some pictures. Just real quick,
that'll
if
show
you
up.
don't mind.
I'm trying to.
See, this is the kind of stuff he used to write in there. Dedicated to Dorian, it's like Martinez. It's hot in 83, 87, and still in 94. And then this is on my Facebook, so forgive the stuff here that I'm doing. But Herbie Jr. and a smiley face. That was his signature. So it's 2 dots, little triangle, and a smiley face. Hi, Kelly. Congrats, Papa Wiz kid again. Apparently they had kids. So there's little messages like that he would write in the run out groove, and became very famous for it. And everybody wanted Herbie Jr. to cut their records for him. He's actually a Facebook friend of mine. And people who have had these records since they came out and love these records don't even look at the run out groove and know who Herbie Jr. is. So anyway, that's my history lesson on Herbie Jr.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring it up is because he still does masters out of his home studio.
That's
And
awesome.
he has said in interviews, because he's like the sound guy, like he knows how to master stuff, the one that everybody looks to, And he says the best format we've ever had for fidelity is compact disc. It's really good. So that's the best. MP3 is heresy, and no one should ever listen to them because they're that bad.
Big sound guys don't like MP3s.
Oh. Herbie is like, what are you doing to my songs?
Yeah.
I made these beautiful songs, and you're making MP3s? Never do that. So he hates MP3.
Right.
So, a sound guy, he really knows the difference.
I've talked to big sound guys, and they've literally said, like, I was in the van with Christian listening to something. He's like, and he reached over and turned the volume down. I'm like, what? He goes, this sounds terrible. You can't hear that hissing? And that, I'm like, no, dude.
Yeah.
I've got it turned up so loud. No, I can't. It was like Kerncraft or something. I'm like, no. But but you and I have talked about this before, and we had that new mixer, the V10 at NAMM, and everyone had such a like, oh my god, it's got compression. I'm like, dude, compression, whatever. And then I messed with it, and I messed with the compression on it. I want compression on everything. Because like we didn't turn the volume up, but I swear it got louder. Like the lights didn't change, but it was notably louder. They're like, no, it's not louder. You're just perceiving it to be louder because now the compression is coming in and pushing all the waves where they should be, and kind of thing.
It's
I'm like,
right. It's a weird thing that kind of stuff does. And there's like buttons on old school stereos for those of us who are older that say loudness on it.
yes,
Because there's a certain feel that loud stereos in either a car stereo or a home stereo has. And what they were able to do is achieve that same sort of fidelity by flipping a switch and not cranking it up.
yeah.
So
No, it's a great touch. As is the band Loudness from Japan, the 80s metal band, featuring Akira Takasaki.
Rock and Roll Crazy Nights.
Yeah, I was going to say they had to work on that.
See, you thought you got me. You totally
I
did.
said I finally have my moment in the sun, and once again you rain on it. Just Brian S. Red Rain.
Hey.
You should do like a chocolate rain, but be like
I'm going to
Brian Red Rain. Remember that?
Get on your feet. I know the song.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
one of the founders of
Disciples
YouTube.
of Hell. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe that was somebody else.
Maybe.
But
I'm
anyway,
amazed.
yeah, it's for what I run. It's fine. I don't hear anything that sounds bad, but I do notice when something is old. So, for instance, if I get a request for a song, it's like, oh my gosh, I haven't played this song forever, or maybe I've never played it, but I know it, but I've never played it live. I put it on, and it's like, oh no,
Yeah,
I've
got some of those.
That's something that I ripped in 2003, and it sounds terrible because I did it at 98 or 120 or something.
But even old, like it's Stand By Me. Do you have Stand By Me by Benny King? Of course you do. I have like 3 versions of it, and they all sound like I stood down the hall with a tape recorder from the vinyl. And I'm like, they don't register as 96, excuse me, 96K bit, but they just, there's certain tracks that were not well mastered. Way back. Otis Redding stuff sounds great. Smokey doesn't always hit the numbers. Otis Redding usually does.
Well, that was a Motown thing.
But wasn't his Muscle Shoals? Like a lot of Otis Redding stuff was Muscle Shoals, I think.
Well, here's
as far as I think those guys were big on like pushing.
Everybody wanted to sound like Motown. So
yeah.
That was Barry wanted to upgrade things, and do all this stuff because they were recording vocals in the upstairs bathroom at Motown. That was their vocal studio, the upstairs bath. So nobody else could get the Motown sound because nobody else had an upstairs bathroom like they had at Motown.
Makes sense.
So they would run a microphone up the stairs, and that was the vocal studio. They have monitors up there for them. And Barry's like, we got to do something about this. Our stuff doesn't sound very good. We could really make a big difference if we just went ahead and stepped up a little bit. And Smokey said, yeah, but everybody's copying our sound. It might not sound good, but everybody wants it. The one that drives me nuts, and it wasn't recorded at Motown, but it's sort of the same sort of thing, is Aretha Franklin's Respect. It's a real tough one to make sound right.
Yeah, it is. It sounds hollow a lot.
Oh, well, it's all like, yeah. So what I do on that
highs.
track is I bring the mid way down on my mixer.
That makes sense.
Way down. And I crank the bass up, and it gives it a little bit of... There's not much you can do with it.
Yeah. There are tracks that just are tracks. And I learned a very valuable lesson. I've got those big plastic, Lowe's, Home Depot bins of CDs from back in the day. And I did what Brian did. I came out about 6 months ago, and I'm like, I'm going to go through these. Maybe there's tracks that I need that I forgot I had on disc. Because unlike a lot of DJs, I wasn't anal enough to burn everything I had on CD
to rip it all
to my hard drives when I went to Serato. So I ended up buying stuff. I found stuff. I had stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
But I know there's tracks. Because as you guys know, you go through waves. Like, this is your dinner music now. Well, in 6 years, it's different. And in 12 years, it's much different. But maybe there's something to be said for that back then.
Right.
and I found a track called Hey Joe. The famous Hey Joe that I found out recently was a cover by Jimi Hendrix. I always thought it was an original.
Right.
And I heard the original, and the original is amazing. But it's by a band called Common Sense, who is a local San Diego band. Sounded amazing. Sounds great. It's very reggae. And I put it into iTunes to burn it. But what I had forgotten to do, so learn from my lesson. In iTunes, you have to tell it what the burn rate is of the track. I didn't do that. So I burned it into iTunes. I put the disc back in this container. I hope I didn't throw it out or lose it because I burned it at 20 kilobytes per second. So when I transferred it to my hard drive and went to the wedding, it gives you the option. Why I don't know. But they use. But here's the other thing: they don't use CBR. They use VBR, which is the constant bit rate, which means the track stays at that level. iTunes, to save space, uses VBR, variable bit rate, which means if it's a quiet part of the sound, they'll drop the bit rate to almost zero because they're saving space on the burn.
Yeah, that's on a variable, I believe they call it, right?
Yeah, it's the variable bit rate that they practice.
Yeah.
What you want on a CD audio, it's traditionally CBR, which is constant bit rate. So that 320K, that's where you pick up the nuances.
Right.
You know, when you listen to like Pink Floyd on vinyl, you're like, my God, I don't remember hearing all of this. Yeah, because, you know, let's face it, these stupid earbuds are not designed to really give you that amazing sound.
Right.
But whenever you're burning stuff, you've got to check. And I said to John before the show started, because I've had issues with some gear made by a company that rhymes with Pioneer DJ, not playing MP4 files, I've had to then burn them to MP3. Well, I purchased the professional version of Easy CD DA Extractor.
Okay.
Probably 15 years ago. Lost the license, couldn't remember the password, and about 6 months ago contacted them and they gave me the key. Said, oh yeah, your file's right here. Here's the key. And now I find I'm doing it more and more because here's the other catch. When I was doing the driveway gigs, I would buy tracks on iTunes, play them that night. Serato would show them with a BPM, but when I went to play them, no BPM would show up. Now, no BPM isn't the end of the world. What the end of the world is, when there's no BPM, you can't loop a track in Serato. If it doesn't have a BPM, it can't loop because it doesn't see the beat grid, because it doesn't see where the downbeat is. So even though it plays, you know.
Seize the Day in the comment section says, but some MP3s say they are 320, but they are not. How do you even know? Well, if you rip at 320, it should be a 320 MP3 file. And
there are some softwares out there, and Jay mentioned iTunes, and that's what I've been using because you can go and set all these parameters before starting. But there was one that we used years ago that said it was supposed to be that, and it did not. And it was constant bit rate, supposed to be 320, and it wasn't. It was something like 250 or 256.
Well, I think iTunes still does 256, unless you got a custom, which is 320. Right. But if you just say burn an MP3, they're only doing a 256 variable bit rate, which means your track's up and down all over the map.
Well, I think in the under custom you can obviously choose, but I think for the just selecting it's 128 or 192. Those are the only settings that are click and go to. Otherwise, you have to jump to custom.
Which in the earbuds is going to sound fine. I know with promo only pool, I was choosing lossless MP4A. The problem became those wouldn't play on a CDJ. So I would go to a show with this great playlist, and there'd be 3 songs out of 15 that were visible. And the rest were errored. And I'm like, and I realized I've got to convert. So now I've got promo only pool set to MP3 at 320K.
I was just going to jump in here and try something real quick.
Yeah.
See if I could show it to you.
Yeah. Because you show on your side. I can't show stuff because it kills my kills. Either you guys see it and they don't, or the folks do and you guys don't. So when Brian shares, we all see it.
Okay, so I can share. It's okay.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. If you or Jay share, then everybody can see. But yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna just give me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share the screen real quick and just show you how I check stuff, just to make sure that it's what I want it to be. And I'm running Windows. Crap. going on here? I'm running Windows 10.
It's kind of weird seeing ourselves, 30 seconds ago.
Yep, sorry about that. So this is one of my promo onlys. It's Express Audio, January 2020, week 5. I'm just going to grab a track. Let's do 2 Chainz featuring Future.
Yeah.
Dead Man Walking.
It's one of my favorite songs.
It's my absolute favorite. It's my joint. Mm-hmm. So if I right click here, like on the track, it's on the MP3 file itself, I go to properties, okay? And once I'm in properties, it tells me it's an MP3 file. It tells me how big it is, which pretty much can, tell you what bit rate it's ripped at. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it's 5.11 megabytes, but the song is not long. It's a short little track.
Yeah.
And you can look here and you can kind of see what's going on.
I find it's a
right here, bit rate, audio bit rate, 320 kilobytes per second. The song is 2 minutes and 13 seconds long, and that's by clicking on details here. So you can come in and see this stuff if you want to.
If the megabyte file size is equal to the minute size, meaning if it says 2.4 megabytes and the song is like 2 minutes and 12 seconds long, it's not 320K. 320K tends to be, I would say, double the length of the song.
Yep,
so 4 or 5 megabytes file would be like a 2 to 2.5 minute song.
And that was about right with what I showed.
Yeah, that's exactly right on. Yeah.
And
again, we've all got our deals on hard drives. I don't know what it is today on Amazon, but I bet you it's close. $167 for my Samsung T5 Evo solid state 1 terabyte drive.
Yeah.
Back in the late 90s, CDs were expensive. And if you didn't burn it right, it was a toast, done, good, throw it out. And hard drives were insanely expensive. And now that's not the case.
Right.
You shouldn't be playing. There are anomalies. I have a couple files that I know are 196 or 192, and they sound loud. I don't know why. I've played them for people, and they've been like,
they got a lot of gain on them.
Yeah, they must, because they're under 320, but they sound good. And they're tracks that, I don't know where to find. They're those rarities that you're not going to find.
Well, Day Night DJs made a really good point in the chat, and I'm trying to go back to this chat as much as I can. So, we're involving you. Mm-hmm. There's a reason to tune in.
It's a community.
It is a community.
Are they buying drinks?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. As soon as the show's over, Day Night's buying around. 320 recording can still sound like crap if the original sounds like crap, such as old Black Sabbath. And that's kind of what we were talking about with the old Motown stuff. Otis Redding sitting on the dock of the bay, and Aretha Franklin's Respect. Yeah. You can't polish a turd, but you can do what you can to EQ the track out. Having said that, having the best file that you could possibly get in the format that you choose to use, I'm choosing to use MP3. If you want to go FLAC or WAVE, that's fine, but I feel like I'm using the best MP3 available. Sounds good on my system. Start with that, and then make your tweaks from there on your GEQ if you have to,
I don't know if people remember. You do, Brian. John, you probably do. And I'm sure a lot of people in the chat room, back in the day, you'd get a bad file and it would be a low burn rate and it would have those pops and hisses and just stuff going on. Yeah. And I learned very early on, I became a huge fan of, I think it was Maxell, the black CDs.
The chromes.
No, I got the blacks.
The black ones,
that were black on both sides, because I was told the blacks play music better. So boom, off I go to these black CDs that I would buy at like Fry's and Office Depot and whatever. And I just remember, like, there's a section of my CD, like the main, Case Logic case I have, where it's like silver, so whoa, all black, then back to silver and gold, and different manufacturers. And then I realized late in the game, like 100 spindle of No Name was just as good as everything else.
So shout outs to Ernesto, Trev, Scrap is in the room.
Scrappa! Heard the new AC/DC. I'm in love. Any band that can continually put out the exact same song for 50 plus years with the original lineup for the most part deserves I'm buying that CD. It'll be the first full CD I've bought in quite a while. Album, record, whatever you kids want to call it these days. But I heard that video. It's trending on YouTube. I'm like, okay, this is exactly what I want. Like they deliver. They're the in and out of hard rock music. You go there, you know exactly what you're getting.
Jimmy Spin is here. Bill Marsh, poor Bill Marsh is here. I'm going to start calling him poor Bill Marsh.
Why? Because that pink shirt
I
he wore
feel
the other
bad
day?
for Bill because he can never get a word in edgewise. It's like John. He can't talk when we're in there.
John doesn't talk anymore.
And my dude from Power Jams DJs, Jimmy J Rock Reed's in the room too.
Yeah, we get some folks.
Jimmy Reed's here?
Yep.
Jimmy's talking about using virtual with the S11. That's what I like to see.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Jimmy, you got some questions. Hit me up.
And Howie, of course.
Howie, should I mention Howie's going to be wearing a new pair of headphones pretty soon?
I heard about that.
Yes, Howie is the grand prize winner.
Oh yeah, he mentioned he won something. Yeah, that was
he won a pair of Bluetooth headphones.
Excellent.
By tuning in to see me the next show on November 12th. Huh?
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow,
yep. But yeah, he tuned in to see the Happy Hour, Pioneer DJ Happy Hour with your host.
So
he won.
Let me get this correct. You come on, you're here with the show with us, and nobody gets any swag from Pioneer, but you do the show up by yourself.
You know what it is? It's the Brian John effect. I did a show last week with MJ. Just the whole thing. I think 12 minutes of it aired. Like he's like, "We're gonna have you back."
Yeah.
Like it was one technical thing.
Was,
I'm calling John. We're live. He's like, "I'm calling John." I'm like, "I think we're live." He's like, "Only on 5 out of 6."
I think it would be. JC's here too. What's up, JC? I think it would be dope if you could talk to them about some swag, like for the show.
What do you want?
You know what I want.
You want? I know you. Yeah. You want?
Well, I got what I want.
You want some laptop stickers? I can get some laptop stickers, some T-shirts, stuff like that.
But T-shirts are good. T-shirts are good.
T-shirts are good. And get some T-shirts.
Once a month, do a set of
get the official driveway party coasters.
That'd be nice. Well, I think sadly in today's times, Brian, companies are burning through lots of revenue by all the shows they're doing and the amount of money they spend on hotels and airfare and travel. And you may want to take some of that into consideration. It's not like they're rolling in dough anywhere because they haven't spent a dime this year.
Yeah. I just want to point something else. Yeah. When it comes to headphones, the packaging costs more than the manufacturing of these damn things. Just so you know, I'm just. Saying.
You ever stop and see the stuff that you get, and you look at it and go, "I paid $1.12 for this," and they're making a profit. They've not only managed to manufacture whatever this widget is that I've got, but they packaged it. They sent it from Asia to here. It was marked up at the dollar store or Five Below or wherever you bought it, and yet it's still like I got. Here, this stupid thing. This is an iPhone, like 20-foot cable or a mini USB cable. And it's like, I bought it for $1. Like, and everyone made money on the deal. Like, what's it cost? Like 12 cents?
But the whole Beats by Dre thing, I'm just laughing. I'm like, oh my God, they're printing money.
$3 billion. Apple bought $3 billion for Jimmy Iovine and Dre.
That's not crazy.
$3 billion, and we did stress tests with them. Dude, those things snapped at every opportunity, but they were more fashion than they were actual wear. I saw a thing yesterday on somebody was whining about some headphones, and I'm like, he was like, "Yeah, man, they broke. I've had them for 3 years." I'm like, I'd be pretty happy. Break it down by annual. The laptop you're watching this show on that I'm using, I paid $900 for in 2013.
John, it's my fault. I threw him down this rabbit hole. I didn't mean to.
Damn it.
Yeah. So let's get back to the show topic. So guys,
are we on?
Yeah, we're going to be going on any second now, any second. And
Jay, everybody watches.
Jay danced. He got close to the show topic tonight, then he kind of danced away from it for a little bit. But
he started out.
I mentioned the Easy CD DA extractor. I was there with a program.
Exactly, from the some of those things we did early on, and we were ripping. And you guys have both mentioned this. We ripped them at 128 or 96, whatever we did at the time.
They were
the
low.
question really comes is, and Robin mentioned it in the chat that she's been ripping, but. Do you think that this is something that people should do, is really dedicate themselves to going and back to those old CDs of songs that we play today, but the original, and re-rip them if they were re-ripped over 10 years ago?
I think it's a good idea. Especially if you don't think the things sound good. You got nothing else going on right now. I mean, most of us aren't doing anything else. This would be a great project. Get yourself a nice new hard drive. You can order that thing. You don't have to leave the house. And and load it up with your tunes, and rip something that will tag it for you because that part sucks.
That's the issue though. All the ones I have, you throw them in and they come up as artist title 1, artist title 2, and it's like I don't have the time in the day to put okay, this is obviously Lords of Acid, and I've got to write each song out and which mix. And
the ones that I felt like did the best tagging, not my favorite software, but tagging was a good thing, so I made the compromise, was iTunes. I felt like they did the best job of tagging stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have to go in, like you said, in those advanced features and make it, not a variable thing, 320K rep.
Yeah.
And it did a fine job.
100%.
I don't know how it works now. I don't know if it wants to automatically add it to your iTunes library, because I think I had to go through some kind of, I don't know, ancient Hindu ritual to make it not do that, because it tries to integrate everything.
Well, you have to double it to convert it. Like if you go in, if you download, you buy 10 songs and you suddenly want them to be 320K, you can convert them, but you have to convert them within the program. So now you have 2 of each song.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some little maneuvers you have to make. I think the fun is to go back and look at CDs once in a while.
Yeah.
And just go, man, I remember playing this. And then you look on your hard drive of 80,000 songs. You're like, how is this not on there?
Yes.
Right.
Isn't that the truth?
I've got the best CD. It was actually given to me by Andy's brother, Brian. He had a friend whose dad just played guitar, and I never really thought anything of it. But he got together with this other guy, and they cut a CD in the mid-90s. It's the most beautiful, original acoustic guitar music you've ever heard. And they printed 50 CDs, and I have one. I gotta rip this. It's so good. I used to play it for dinner music all the time, and people would come and say, "Oh my God, what is this?" I gotta have it. You can't. It doesn't exist.
That's 101 on the DJ world. I got stuff when I was with the Boats, and we did a big show for the Gavin Report, which lists tours and what they revenue, and it's a big deal. It was Buckethead, Stuck Mojo, Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains, and Head PE on a boat, and I was the producer.
Very interesting.
And I said to each label, I got very early on, got hit to ask the label if they have any swag, tell them you have all these DJs. So every label, like Higher Octave sent me 30 CDs of Tommy Emmanuel, Lara and Reyes, Craig Jaquisho, Neil Schoen, all instrumental CDs. But one of the big key things that you touched on that I still do is I try to play the stuff that no one has because it was a local purchase.
If it's good,
if you're walking through some local town park and some guy is playing and selling his CD, if it's good, think this. How would this sound at a wedding or a party? Buy it. Be that guy that's got music that people come up to and go, "What was that?"
Right.
Spaceman Spiff, I opened for them in 97. They gave me their 5-song EP. I still played at weddings during cocktail because it's a very reggae, Dave Matthews, Jack Johnson kind of vibe. And people always, who is this? I couldn't find it on Shazam. I'm like, yeah, they don't exist.
Yeah, going to.
That's why I wanted to get the Hey Joe by Common Sense to play at weddings because it's such a good version of it. And I'm like, this would be perfect to have in my arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Marsh is saying that Windows Media Player is very good for tagging. It didn't used to be. Has it gotten better, Bill? Because I haven't used Windows Media Player to rip for a long time.
Yeah, neither have I.
And, as soon as I say that, I'm thinking to myself, maybe I have something with Windows Media Player. I got a collection from those 45s. I've shown you those 45s that I got. And I'm just slowly trickling in. The same guy had years and years worth of the old what the hell are they called? Hot hits from the 90s that went into jukeboxes. Remember those, John?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
They had the Dancing Country one, and then they do the hot hits.
Yep, there's
pop and hot hits dancing every 6 weeks or whatever. There's some really good stuff on there, especially on the dancing ones that are remixes. Yeah, I can't find anywhere else.
I used to have those, and I don't know where those are.
Well, this guy had all of them in a binder.
That would be.
And I ended up with them. It's just something you're never going to see again. Not a collection like that. It was very complete.
Nope.
And I did rip those a few years back. I mean, we're talking about 4 years ago, maybe. But I may have used Media Player. And I'm burning time while Bill has the opportunity to answer my question, but I don't know if he has or not.
Bill knows his stuff. Bill says it is. I tend to go with him on that one.
Yeah, he does.
I can see Ernesto's here.
Yeah, we got a lot of folks with us. Tonight.
Hold on 1 second, gentlemen. Checking a technical thing here.
Howie says it's much better. I tag with the latest Windows Media Player. That's all I use it for. That's cool because it used to not. I mean,
there's some of them
iTunes was just better.
Yeah, some of them are really sad. And even in the Macintosh world, which is where I was at, iTunes, I tried others, and some were just absolutely horrible. But it was all in that goal of not having to retype those discs in.
Right.
And there were some services online that would talk to this software, but it wouldn't talk to iTunes.
You're right. Yeah. Nobody talks to iTunes.
Yeah.
You got it. I mean, you know that I'm into wackadoodle stuff anyway. Can you imagine my frustration with something like Windows Media Player way back? Because it just didn't have things. But whatever I popped in, for those hot hits, it actually came up, and I was really impressed.
Sorry, guys.
That hot hits set was a great. I used to use those when I would be doing some playing background music, like at a town festival or what have you, because they had a beat, so it kind of was uplifted, or that kind of kept it going. There was energy, and yet there were country songs. So my rural friends and people around it was a win-win.
I don't know how many thousands of dollars I made off of Hot Hits Dancing Country Volume 1.
Yeah.
I mean, you just bought it. You didn't have to buy anything else. And then,
was this like a platinum set? Because I'm not that familiar with it. Was it like? It was
there were 6 discs in the hot hits country, volume 1 through 6, and it was just it was a compilation of remixes that they had put together. A couple of songs may not have been remixes, but it was otherwise they're all country remixes, and they were really good.
Well, they had a jukebox. They were more of a jukebox fulfillment company,
right?
And I used to get them. Oh, geez, the places I used to have to go for music. There was a warehouse I used to have to go to get the stuff because they didn't have a storefront.
Do you knock on the door
and supplied these things?
You needed a password. What do you want?
No, you had to ring a bell.
The moon is brown.
They had a camera. They saw you. Then they let you up the elevator into the warehouse, and you just went into this big warehouse. And hey, Bri, what do you need today? Yeah. And those guys in there would just
pat you down and make sure there's.
The guys and girls in there were absolute musical savants.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember The Source? I don't even know if he's still around. Was it like The Source?
Yeah, The Source. He had a lot of.
He had a lot of that stuff. He was the only guy I knew you could find like Funky Mix, Ultimix, X Mix, Hot Track, whatever, like everything. It was like Kid in a Candy Store on Adderall. It was like, oh my God, it's got everything.
They did jukeboxes. But they didn't do them. They supplied jukebox people with the stuff.
Nice.
And they did record stores, or anything. They were the distributor for the area. And I think they did a lot of Chicago stuff too.
Because The Source is out of Chicago. Yeah. It might be affiliated in some way.
Could have been.
That guy was out of Chicago, I know.
We used to have a store downtown called Radio Doctors in Milwaukee. It was really hot. It was right across from Mecca Arena where all the concerts were. So the cool thing about it was you could go to the record store, you could buy the record, then go to the concert, or vice versa. They open late after the concert, and they have blowout sales. Sometimes the artists would find records in there. But it was one of those really cool record stores. Kind of looked like First Avenue in Minneapolis. It was that big and kind of a corner storefront, real cool looking. The people who ran that started this warehouse. But it wasn't a storefront. But it was all the people collectively from Radio Docs got together. The people who ran the cool DJ section in the basement and that stuff, they got together and opened this warehouse. I don't know if it's still there or not. But
probably not, yeah.
I go in there and get these when I needed them when I was working clubs and I just needed mainstream crap. And it was even before I had a promo-only subscription. So, it would have the hits on there before I knew I needed them.
When I went to the boats, the first thing that they handed me that they owned in-house was what was called the Mobile Beat Top 400.
Yeah.
You familiar with this?
I got in trouble with those. I'll be right back.
Oh, it was on the same list as the Platinum.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember back in the day, and it's hard for young DJs who can so readily get their hands on content, right down to, stolen hard drives on Craigslist, to understand that was the absolute goal of goals, was like, can I actually maybe find a, version of the Platinum series? Because it was like, I'd seen it in other DJs' hands, but I'd never had it. And then when they gave me the Mobile Beat 400, I'm like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
And when I was cleaning the garage the other day, I found one of the lists that breaks it down by BPM year. I got to tell you, you could do a lot of gigs with those, as long as nobody wanted much past 98 or 97. But up until that point, you were pretty set. And I'm sure that they got in trouble and it was illegal, but still, it was shocking.
Here's a Hot Hits Pop, Volume 82.
Yep, there they are.
There you go.
So I can see the picture of the jukebox on it. So
Oh, perfect.
Oh, yeah, those are
the jukeboxes with these.
some of the
They were great for DJs too,
Yeah, they advertised in the early Mobile Beat magazine issues in the mid '90s. Is where
they
In the
did?
back kind of thing.
Yep, they were in the back. That's where I found out about them, and they were some of the first things I bought. That and Wolfram Video.
Wolfram Video was out of West Dallas,
Yes, yeah,
right here in Milwaukee. Yeah.
Yep, those are some of my early music purchases.
Wolfram Video had the best music videos. They were here in Milwaukee, and you can't even find a reference to them on the internet anymore. Like, they don't exist. If you Google Wolfram, all this other stuff comes up. But back in the old days, like John's saying, shoot, oh my gosh, all the early clubs that I worked at that had video.
Yeah.
Like the first video club I worked at, like big major club, I think it was 19 years old. So it was like, I don't know what, 1990, and everything was Wolfram, and Wolfram was so good, and you could buy the pre-mixed videos.
Yep.
Where you could get give you like 40 minutes of just current dance.
Stick that
So it was
VCR
like,
tape in, and off you went.
yeah, and they had them for all kinds of stuff. So like you could get one with like the Paula Abdul and the Madonna, and whatever, the Prince was on there, all kinds of stuff, and it all sounded right. You could get the Energy one with CeCe Peniston and Crystal Waters and
Black Box and
all that stuff, or you could get the alternative one with The Cure and Ministry and Thrill Kill Cult and that kind of stuff too, Lords of Acid or whatever. So they had several different series. They did a great job. I don't know anybody who worked there. I don't know what happened to the place, but that was the best source for videos.
I think they were purchased by ETV.
Were they?
And I think ETV, the original Platinum series was at ETV and promo only.
Yeah.
I believe that was, so I think then
yeah,
ETV.
promo only was involved. I know that.
Yeah, I think then that's where the video side of ETV, they went, and I think that it became, they either acquired or they just kind of dissolved and what have you.
John, quick side note. I'm sorry, Brian, real fast because I'll forget. Down the road, I'd love to do maybe half a show to the instrumental music that people are playing at their events, because it's kind of listening to all the music and thinking of the stuff that I'm playing, the throwbacks and the one-offs and all that. And there's so much good instrumental, whether it's playing West Montgomery or whether it's playing something that's from your town, but I'm always curious, what are DJs actively for events, whether they're working now or not, but what's their go-to? If somebody's like, you know what, I'm going to do like a half an hour during dinner of instrumental. Are they doing Miles Davis, or are they doing George Benson? Are they doing this one, or are they doing that one? Just be interesting, I think, to have a discussion of, this is good instrumental for this, like some 07, but this is better instrumental for that. Just as a learning thing, maybe.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, because if I think back to when I first started doing this, we always had there were Wyndham Hill samplers. It was all piano music. And there was winter.
I think Enya was on that too.
This was
at one point.
Maybe. But that was more like the pure moods kind of thing, where it was all of that.
I remember the Wyndham with the piano. That's right.
Yeah.
God, I haven't heard that in years.
We'd throw those on for dinner. That was dinner music. And then I remember when I started my own company, I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get some contemporary stuff that people know. I'm going to buy some Kenny G CDs.
Oh,
Whoosh.
whoosh.
Yeah, right. And
Well,
David Sanborn, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I remember going to Kobe's swap meet and for $3 buying the Lethal Weapon 2 or 3, I think, the one that had
I
the
have those.
Sting track,
Yeah.
but it had some David Sanborn instrumentals, and I'm like, I'm gonna play these, and these are gonna sound so cool during dinner because I'm so tricky as a DJ. Look at me, I'm being all individual. And I just thought I was the shit for doing that. I really did. I was like, look at me. I'm standing above and beyond. I Buckethead, when he gave me his Colma CD in 97, all instrumental acoustic. I'm like, it's a bit much to bite into, but there's a couple tracks that do fit. But I always thought part of being a great DJ was picking great instrumental. Plus, if you don't have Miles Davis, so what? The 9 minute 25 second version, I highly recommend it goes on your list. And quick story, I had the honor of having Bill Walton, the basketball player, officiate a wedding for a wounded veteran a few years ago. And Bill Walton's 6'11 and a half, and he's very tall and he's very outgoing, and he's a huge deadhead. And as a treat for Bill Walton, I played a live version with Branford Marsalis playing on it live from Connecticut of Eyes on the World. And he complimented me and said, wow, this really shows how much of a professional you are that you would know to play this, because this is probably the best version of this. The Groom was a huge deadhead. It's also 37 minutes long.
Yes.
So what I have to do is, it's hard to do. I'm trying to concentrate on what you're saying. I'm trying to hold the thought that I was going to continue with when you interrupted me with your
You
story.
seem like you needed room. That's where I came in.
So I gotta go back. I gotta back up a little bit and go off that ramp. So
this Abbott Costello thing we have, I saw it as you needed room.
So I graduated to a Paul Hardcastle CD a couple years later that I really liked and people really didn't know, except for Rainforest. That had some good stuff on it. But as many of you know, and I think John will agree with me here, if you hear Kenny G The Wedding, you might as well put a cheesehead hat on, because you're just not cool anymore if you're playing Kenny G The Wedding.
No.
Oh, okay.
I did a wedding, I think it was in July, and the bride specifically asked for Kenny G music, not only for her wedding prelude, but for her dinner music, because her grandfather loved Kenny G.
Oh,
so I broke out Kenny G for the first time in 20 years. And you know what? I've done it a couple times since. I can't help it. It's like,
the point is to make people happy with music. So
nobody's heard this in a long time.
No,
I don't have
true.
to.
It's throwback now.
Yeah, I don't have to dive into like this really cool smooth jazz stuff, and I do that a lot. Like I'll get my Top Hits USA subscription has smooth jazz, and it's good. But what you don't want to do is get the vocal jazz. You want the instrumental jazz, and it doesn't always tell you it's instrumental, so you got to know tracks and preview them and stuff.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll play one thinking it's instrumental, and it's like a breakup song. And it's like, oops, next track. So it was just nice to go back to Kenny G. It was really nice.
Well, I mean, 98, 99 was the first time that Vitamin Strings Quartet got on my radar from a client saying, we'd like this. And they had a CD, and I'm like, this is amazing. What is this? And I went and did some research and realized, wow, they're like an online group, because I don't think they were sold in stores.
You turned me on to them.
Yeah.
You turned me on to Vitamin String. You were the first guy to tell me about it.
Still use Vitamin Strings for prelude for wedding ceremonies. 100% of my weddings are either Vitamin Strings and or piano guys. And when I bring this to a bride and groom's attention, they always come back with, oh my God, we love 90s alternative. We noticed they have an entire set of Death Cab for Cutie. Can you play this? And we like this Pearl Jam, and we like this, Penny Royal Tea by Nirvana. Absolutely. And
It's
it
funny,
never fails. People love it.
I did a wedding a while back where, everything she's telling me that she wants, in my head, I'm thinking it's all vitamin string. And she says, and we're really big fans. And this was, I don't know, probably going back maybe 10 years ago. We're big fans of postmodern jukebox. Like, okay,
Scott Bradley, yeah.
all right.
Yes.
So I get what she wants. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I mean,
You know what?
I didn't
You
think
gotta-
I'd have an opinion on this stuff.
No,
Like, who cares?
postmodern.
It's dinner music, but I really
Yeah.
disliked it.
I think there's something, but with postmodern, I think that part of it is the appeal is you can watch the video and you have the singers and the way they're doing a lot of the things in the time of setting up that
Their
time.
dress time period.
Periods.
and-
Yeah,
and-
exactly. Because
100%.
I've used them
It's
for
maybe
video.
not translating as well to audio only, is what you're saying?
It could be.
I agree with John. I think if you have the video as the reference, like if you have, Puddles the Clown,
Yeah, that was.
if you don't see him doing Chandelier, you're just like it's a guy singing. Then you see a 7-foot tall clown who's sad but doesn't speak. Now the translation is
Yeah,
like 8 million views.
Gotcha.
But I've got 4 or 5 discs off, some night that iTunes had a sale, and I think they're called Vintage Lounge. And it's like 2 and 3 piece jazz configurations doing pop songs, everything from Kashmir by Led Zeppelin to Prince songs to you name it. And again, you need to get the right crowd. I actually opened for a guy named Richard Cheese about 10 years ago, and he did this whole, like Paul Anka's swinging hits. Richard Cheese kind of started that. He took songs with swears and everything and just put this like cool boppy jazz thing.
You turned me on to him too. It's your
Yeah,
fault.
and thank you.
We've talked.
But
about
I mean, play "Fight for Your Right to Party" by Richard Cheese at a wedding, or "Baby Got Back," and it's like it's a whole new.
I
level.
like doing another brick in the wall.
Yeah, that's another good one.
I like
Yeah.
doing that one, but I cut out the dumb little bit he does in the break. I cut that out.
Yeah, and watch the language. He will swear.
Not another brick in the wall.
Gentlemen,
No, but I'm another tracks.
we
I
are
do bust a move. I do.
we are up to our hour, guys, and we didn't even
Already?
talk about Halloween.
We didn't even go into it.
We didn't even go into it, but we covered a lot of
Next week.
a lot
Well, next week's after Halloween.
It's
We got to
after
do
Halloween.
Thanksgiving songs. We got
So should we do 10 minutes of overtime for Halloween?
Does Jay have 10 minutes of songs?
I have 10 minutes worth of wine. I mean, 10 minutes worth of time left. I can definitely hang for this. What I wanted to do, guys and gals, was I wanted to see whether you're working this week or not. And I highly recommend, if you're not working this week, if you have access to a driveway, a sidewalk, a porch, or even Twitch, whatever, do a live set of Halloween. Just turn on all your lights, turn them red, turn them whatever. But do a set, but do it in the spirit of if you're doing a party for Halloween. I'm going to be doing that out of my driveway this Friday. I have not spun out of the driveway in like 3 months, but because thank God, I'm grateful and thankful. I have a wedding on Saturday. Sadly, it's a wedding that is a wedding on Halloween, as the bride said, not a Halloween wedding. Because I had visions of I could wet the hair and do that whole like the crow thing, but none of that's happening. But that said, I wanted to see if you guys and gals had some songs. Let's skip over Thriller. Let's skip over Monster Mash. Ghostbusters. The stuff that we all know we're going to play on Halloween. So I will start things. And I know my second song Brian will probably give, so I won't give my second choice, but I'm predicting he will give it.
I got to think of something I won't. Okay.
You might, though. And I will I'm not going to say that because it's too much of a hint. I will give my first song, the long version, because it's like 7 minutes long, Bloodletting by Concrete Blonde. That is a standard for the Halloween season. For me, I will be playing that Friday. Brian, a song that is a Halloween song, but may not be considered as such, or that most people may not know, let's say.
Well, I'm thinking if I were to be playing in my front yard, I wouldn't be playing to a dancing crowd, but I'd be playing to a listening crowd.
Right.
And just to keep in the spirit of thing, how about Atlantic Rhythm section with Spooky?
Whoa, that's a great choice. That's a great choice. Great track, great version.
I'm trying not to be predictable here.
No, you're certainly not. because I thought you were going with what I would have
Ministry.
given my second choice.
Yeah.
No, but close. I would have gone with something that I think Mr. Dowdle would be very happy to hear, involving. I'll name one of the members. One of the members, a gentleman named Peter Murphy.
Okay.
So I would have gone with probably Bauhaus. Bela Lugosi's Dead. Yeah.
John, what would you go with?
I don't see Huey Lewis having.
I was going to say, what Huey Lewis song is scary?
I want to do drug is basically Ghostbusters
scary.
backwards.
Exactly.
Or vice
There
versa.
was that. That's as
that
close
one.
as I could have gotten. But that after that, I don't.
Wait a minute. What's the Huey Lewis in the News has that video where the guy's a vampire?
Isn't the bass player a vampire? The guy that smoked?
Yeah.
Always, really
What
he looked
video
like a
was that?
vampire.
Where
Gosh, I don't remember.
somebody in the video is a vampire. It's off of Sports.
I don't remember that.
You know what I'm talking about, Jay?
Yeah, I do. I can't think of the track, but I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was him and a
It's in my
girl.
mind.
Are you thinking of the beach scene on If This Is It? Where he's
No.
they're rubbing tanning lotion on leather?
No, that's a very different vibe. No, this is
It's Temecula thing. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It seemed like a swingers thing. I apologize.
I don't maybe it is a one to drug or something like that, but anyway. Yeah. So you got nothing for us, Sean?
Yeah, unfortunately, Halloween is not one that I do that I've done very often. So it's really not one I put too much time into.
Anything off the Crow soundtrack would be appropriate.
Okay, how about David Bowie's Scary Monsters and Super Creeps?
That's a great one. See, that's a great one. You could have done with
Try not to be
Bow
predictable
Wow
tonight.
Wow. I wanted,
I want candy.
Yeah.
That's
Stuff like
nice.
that. You know? It just seems that there's probably 10 atypicals. And it's always how do you go out of that without going extreme? I'd love to play Typo Negative, but it's a hard sell to the kids and the moms.
It's a very hard sell to the kids.
I think.
Here's some Typo Negative, everybody. This is scaring me. Okay.
Well, I think that, if I
Werewolves of
What's the
London,
take?
John. I could see you doing Warren's Eve on Werewolves of London.
if I were to take artistic liberties, and this is me, Generation X guy, I'm doing this whole rabbit hole game where I'm thinking about where did the people dress weird? Where did the people look freaky? What were they listening to? It was alternative night in any club from 1988 to 1993. And it was The Cure. It was Susie and the Banshees. But you could even go back into some of the early new wave stuff like Gary Newman Cars. It just sounds weird. It's got kind of that Theron sound in it.
Oh, yeah.
And anything with that
Friends Are
Theron in
Electric.
it.
Friends Are Electric. That's a really kind of bizarre robot. Or, you know what? A good one, Garbage Man by the Cramps.
What's
You
the
ever heard
one?
that song? That's a great Halloweenish, because the Cramps are very Halloweeny. Or something by Misfits.
I love.
Last Caress.
Yeah.
I
There's
could
all
see-
kinds of weird stuff you can do.
No. I think there's a lot. If you want to deep dive it, you could go down a lot of rows. I have to admit, with your last description, it just dawned on me, and this is looks aside, hair aside, the whole 9 yards. But I have to say this now because it has just hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm saying it here and now. It will be said again by thousands in the future, long after I'm gone. Brian S. Red, in my opinion, now that I've seen that, is the Andy Warhol of the DJ world.
Oh, I don't know why you would say that.
And I'll tell you why I said that, because you got so descriptive, so in the moment, so visual that I'm like, son of a bitch, this guy's Andy freaking Warhol with the visuals over here. Because he's like 1988, but you don't have the voice, the face, the hair, the
Thank
color.
God. Yeah.
None of it.
There's that.
But if you did, just for a second, if you, like a Truman Capote-esque voice or something, if you could just be like, from 1988 to 1991.
If I was a homosexual in my 50s, in the 70s, I would, yeah.
Perfect. That's right.
Hey, Brian. Well, you're halfway there with the name. But really, I think there's a lot you could come up with. I see the chat room is flying here.
Yeah, Disturbed Sound of Silence.
That's a great one.
Doing It All for My Baby was the video you guys were talking about with the Halloween theme.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, Doc and, Dream Warriors.
Bride of Frankenstein theme.
And a lot of people don't know this because they're not old like me. So I will turn you on to a track. If you don't know this, by all means, try the instrumental Frankenstein by the
Edgar
Edgar
Winter
Winter
Group.
Group. Yeah, but you'd be surprised,
Written
Brian.
by
you and
Dan
I might-
Hartman.
Written by Dan Hartman. And Dan Hartman on the same album who sang on Come On, Take
Free
a Free
Ride.
Ride. Yep.
They
And
only come
eventually
out
went
at
on
night.
to have a great disco song with You Can Dream About It.
And if you really want to scare the kids, show them a picture of Edgar Winter on the They Only Come Out at Night.
Oh, the cover where it's like the girl
He's flying or
albino
whatever. He's got
girl
the jewels
flying.
and-
Yeah. That is
Edgar
right.
Winter is it politically correct to call him an albino? Because he is.
Well, that's what he is. Yeah, no.
Okay, yeah, he's an albino.
Yeah.
So he's
He has a
kind of
twin
freaky
brother.
looking,
Yeah,
a
he's a
little bit.
twin brother, Johnny Winter.
Yeah,
who's
and
one of the
he is
most
too.
amazing blues. Edgar's still alive. Johnny passed away a few years ago, but as far as blues guitar players go, Johnny Winter is in the top 10 of all time as far as being a masterful blues artist, both out of I want to say Austin or somewhere. I know they're
I think you're
Texas, but I think it's Austin. But yeah, that's a great album. Ronnie Montrose on guitar. I think produced by Rick Derringer. Because Rick Derringer
Probably.
came in and out of that band as well as Johnny's. Well after he left Ohio with Hang On Sloopy and the Real McCoys. Once in a while, John, the memory just works, and I have to
does.
kind of compete with the Andy Warhol of the DJ world, Brian S. Red.
There-
Daniel's mentioning Skeletons in the Closet by Louis Armstrong, and I forgot all about that song.
I
Skeletons
totally forgot about that.
the song Skeletons by Stevie Wonder. Remember he did that jam.
Oh, damn. Yeah, he did.
Skeletons in your closet, itching to go outside. That was kind of a cool song.
Totally. Dead Man's Party.
Oingo
Oingo
Boingo.
Boingo.
Sure.
Gotta
Or
hit
even
that
Weird
one.
Science. Anything Oingo Boingo would be
By the
fun.
way, I just saw that a few weeks ago to show it to Colin, and have to admit, got as much joy out of watching Weird Science now as I did then.
It's fun.
It's such a fun movie because it's just so like, yeah, totally. This makes sense. Kelly LeBrock just shows
It's got
up.
Rat Wanted Man in the soundtrack. How bad can it be?
Yeah, exactly. And of course, our friend Mr. Robert Downey Jr. playing a minimal role before his
Yeah,
career.
a supporting role. Yeah.
Yeah. This is pre Less Than Zero and everything else. Yeah.
He looks like a kid because he is a
Oh.
kid.
back
Yeah, he
then,
was then.
that was-
I even like, I really, for some reason, whenever I've done Halloween parties for big people, I like Devo for Halloween.
I think Devo totally fits.
Well, I do too, but for Halloween, I think for some reason it's appropriate. I don't know why, but it
It
feels
totally is appropriate. Yeah. Well, you want one like Devo? Dark Knight by the Tito and the Tarantulas. It's on the Dust to Dawn soundtrack. And again, if you've got a gig and you're confused, look to the movies. You'll be surprised the songs that you can pull from a Weird Science or a Dust Till Dawn or something scary. There are tracks that are actually there waiting for you to find them and discover them.
We didn't even mention one of your favorites, Cry Little Sister.
No, and that's a whole nother debate. I had that debate with someone last week over a Proper 12. Did a wedding, and the owner of the venue was very gracious to let me try McCallum's 12, which I didn't know was like $100 a bottle, and a Proper 12 by Conor McGregor. We had a little tasting, and he's playing Cry Little Sister, and I go, "Oh, you'd like this, Typo Negative, love you to death." And he freaked over it. He's like, "Oh my God." I'm like, have you heard Burn by The Cure? He's like, "No." Put that on. He's like, "Oh." Yeah, it was one of those, like when you turn someone on to music and they get excited. It was one of those nights.
I love doing
But
that.
yeah, there's Lost Boys soundtrack.
It's good.
Well,
That was
the
good.
NXS and Ernie Barnes song "Good Times" is still the best song on that album. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was good.
no, I'd go with you on that one.
It's really good. But it was the Lost Boys. I mean, that was that movie. So anybody who's seen that movie, oh, When You're Strange, Echo and the Bunnymen's on there. That's perfect too.
Yeah. Cover the Doors, of course, but still
yeah.
a great track.
Right, but the Echo and the Bunnymen was in the movies, so there's that association.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
But
the
they
Doors
all,
people
I mean,
are
they
strange.
all had
absolutely.
that. Susie and the Banshee had dark tracks, even when it wasn't Halloween. Echo had it.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
first,
they
like
did.
they all had those kind of like, what's this? This is kind
Well,
of
Pickup
dark.
is just disturbing. It's backwards basically, and
Well,
the drums are backwards,
yeah, and wax tracks, of
and the
course.
trumpets backwards. They put
All
in
of
there.
that. Yeah. Lords of Acid, Dark, Halloween, My Life Thrill Kill, all about the B movie, the kill, faster, pussycat stuff, all that stuff. Just Russ Meyer's catalog. Yeah. No, this there's so much to choose from. Of course, no one's going to like it but me and Brian. But still, if you play
exactly, that's what I'm just
we'd
thinking.
be
We're going to
super
have a
happy.
great time.
Yeah,
we're going to totally get it.
If you're playing, if you're playing Daisy Chain,
why aren't you playing Ghostbusters?
No.
Yeah, where's
play
Thriller?
Daisy Chain
I'm ready
for
to do
Satan.
the Thriller.
Play Thriller.
I'm ready
thrilled.
to do that thing.
Rockwell, somebody's watching me. Come on, play some Halloween songs.
Gentlemen, we need to wrap up. We are now at our 10 minutes after. So thank you guys for being with us tonight. The chill room. I should put the link for the chill room into the chat. HTTP. DJNTV.com/chill. You guys can go there and have some more time talking music and such. And we will catch you next week. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.